include doing a temporary or rolling over the bans on the amounts that were approved in the spring for the field construction, which was $2 million, and there was a small amount that was set aside for the library exterior renovations. My recollection was about $60,000. And then permanently borrowing all of the issues that were done in October of 2009. And again, my recollection was that number was about $1.4 million.
There's rumblings that interest rates are going to take a big jump. I brought this up before, but it seems to be more evidence of that. And should we consider for the turf field to go directly to bonds? I mean, it's just a question. Maybe we need to do a little.
Hillview suggested no from a revenue standpoint and dropping off of the debt service.
Yeah,
not
right,
to
I
do
understand that, right.
Right. So,
But they had a pretty good year, so maybe they can swing it. I don't know. And I mean, let's just look at it. I'm not saying go one way or the other, but I'm just raising that issue that if we wait a year, we may get caught with a bigger burden.
Well, we always have the opportunity to reissue those bans again a year from now, too. We can roll those bans over. You don't need to be paid on an end. You don't need to.
no, but what he's suggesting is
What
you've got
I'm
a permanent
saying
bonding
is that
now.
the national
Right.
debt
Not
has
a
got to
ban.
a point where interest rates are bound to go up.
I'm not so.
Inflation is
I'm not so.
potentially going to go up.
Please, I'm not so sure, depending upon the direction that the board previously directed us, that we're not too far down the road to all of a sudden reverse and say, oh, we want to do a permanent borrowing on this. We may already be too far down the road
Okay, well,
to go ahead and do that, but we'll find out.
Just raise the
Well,
question.
again, I know there's some costs associated with going out to
Yeah.
permanent bonding, and that's one of the reasons you're doing it like once a year now.
Yeah.
But we may want to revisit that and do it twice this year and incur that cost because of the savings that may be realized. So, yeah. If I recall, that's what we're trying to do it once a year, like September, October, is that the
Yeah,
timeframe?
September.
Yeah, I would talk to bond counsel and, I'd get some expert opinion. I'm just saying that, I get this sense that maybe it might be wise to look at that. So,
I think the treasurer intends to come in to meet with you in 2 weeks at your meeting on the 14th to recommend award of bids on these items, because we need to kind of move, and last year we just got lucky, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
You
Right, I know
awarded the
those.
bids, and then the markets collapsed.
well, the rate that she got was a 3-month rate, right? Temporary.
But even last year on the
Yeah, we
bids
got
that
it.
you
You're
awarded
right.
in September, within 2 weeks, the markets completely collapsed.
Yeah, that's true, right. Then you put everything on hold.
And then we held everything after that.
Okay.
Almost like we knew what we were doing, huh?
Well, I said.
Well, he did.
Some did a good timing, and
Yeah.
you've already got the information on the special election. I would ask, when you're done with your old and new business, an opportunity for executive session on land issues and each value of purchase of land, and also collective bargaining and litigation strategy. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. O'Leary.
Just a little, all of us have been receiving some correspondence on the dog issue. And I have been speaking with some people, not directly with the one person who was emailing us, but with others. And there has been a noticeable improvement from the reports that I've been getting back on the issue of the dog noise. Apparently, this one other individual hasn't seen the same type of improvement. If you recall, during that correspondence back and forth, one member of the board asked if they had raised the complaints with the dog officer, and the answer was no. So again, if people are still having problems up there, please use the proper channels to have them properly recorded so that we can gauge it, because we had a recent report, from the dog officer as recent as the 13th of August.
Right.
My sense is that there appears to be there's a frustration building up on the part of those people contacting the dog office.
Well, that was one of the senses that we got, but I'm not getting the same feedback from other people within the complex.
Well,
Because they haven't found the need to contact the dog officer themselves. And this person has not contacted the dog officer.
the issue hasn't gone away for about 2 months now. And I think if we go back to the position that we had intended on doing the last go-around, when we were going to have a joint meeting, the dog officer, Northridge residents, and the dog owners. And I think that's...
We can try it again.
I think we should do that, and
We can try it again, and again, there was an attempt made on our part to do that, and the Northridge residents, a number of them said they didn't find it necessary at that particular time to do it.
oh, I know.
And I haven't gotten the feedback that they do find it necessary.
Well,
Other than this one person who's complaining
there's
to us now.
There's obviously a conflict, and certain
Conflicting
people feel a
opinions,
different way.
and I
but-
think there's a certain conflict in relation to the tolerance level of, and expectations as to whether or not dogs are gonna bark at all. But there's also been a noticeable improvement. We've gotten a report from the dog officer in relation to the, let's see, how can I put this, the corrective action on the part of the dog owners to improve the situation, which has taken place. Again, I'm not necessarily defending the dog owners per se, other than a marked improvement has been noticed by a number of the residents there, to the point where they haven't found it necessary to complain to the dog officer. And the one person that we're hearing from has chosen not to contact the dog officer. I'm sorry, and I agree with Joe,
Well,
we have a certain mechanism
I
and
don't-
channel that we've asked them to utilize, and it's not being utilized.
I understand, but
Do we
they
need
left...
to apply the 80 dB rule and rub them to 4,500
That's right, we're gonna have to find something,
No,
You know, I'm frustrated by this from the point of view that it's difficult to get your hands on. It's a difficult subject from the point of view whether the dog's barking too loud, are they barking too long. I know that some people have called the dog office and they can't reach them, and, then they get frustrated, and, it seems to me that this thing is just gonna go on and on and on and on. It's never gonna go away. And I'm not sure I know how to bring it to a conclusion.
I think we set up the meeting, see who shows up, let them voice their issues,
Well,
and then determine whether or not
One of the
corrective action has been taken and we're satisfied or not. Otherwise, it's never
I think one
going...
of the concerns that the board had previously when we were gonna set up this meeting was we didn't, want a gang warfare on people either. In other words, you have 50 people, against two. Now, if we're gonna set some parameters, saying if you wanna send one representative from each building down there, which gives you a reasonable number, to deal with, or have them say, send us 5 representatives, whatever it's gonna be, and then try and establish a meeting here in neutral ground.
The concern was to try to resolve the issue without having a show cause hearing and have that basic,
Mhm.
So,
And it-
again,
But at this point, I don't see how to make it work. I
yeah,
guess,
I don't know what else to do.
Looking for
Can't it-
ideas.
I
Mr.
don't think-
Vino,
Thank you. Yeah, well, oh, I'm sorry, John. I'll go on 2 points. I'll start on the first one first. I thought it was perfectly clear.
Good place to start.
The first one first. I thought the second one will be second. I thought it was perfectly clear that night, when everyone left this room, that if there was any complaint to call. Seems that wasn't clear in some people's minds, but I found it interesting that no calls were made after that meeting. There were no calls made that I know of. The second thing is, if the town or whoever's gonna set up the meeting, let's hold it at a neutral place,
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that was a good idea that you
like the
had.
police station or here, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Let's not, but I saw no complaints after that meeting. I shouldn't say I saw it. I didn't hear of any complaints after that meeting until that particular email went out, and then the comment was made by me, and then there was 2 complaints called in by that party. Yeah, from that
Which
party.
is fine.
Yeah, which is fine, which is fine. I mean, I wish
But
that
again,
party
there-
had
there
called
have been-
every time.
Several residents contacted within the complex there, specifically said, the dogs bark, but, they expect the dogs to bark.
The
But
dogs.
It's not unreasonable, there's been a marked improvement. It was at a level where they didn't find it necessary to call a complaint. This wasn't just one resident, several. So,
Right, that was the feedback, and I understand speaking to you outside of any meeting, Steve, that was the feedback from some of the residents up there, and that's why we didn't go forward
and I
with that meeting.
double-checked again the other day after we got the most recent email, and I got the same feedback. Well,
Same feedback, meaning,
remember, and I had asked some people to go talk to other neighbors up there to find out what is it.
And
And
it's done.
we've got one party that's complaining.
this party, with respect to the geography of
The
the,
proximity, they're the
They're the
building
closest?
closest, they're the building closest, but there's three other residences in that same building.
yeah.
Not the same issues. And then you've got two other
Well, there were
adjacent
also
buildings.
two dog owners that are spread apart a little bit. I mean, it might help if, one of the issues was maybe one dog owner is trying real hard and the other one isn't, Like, with all the trees and everything in the way, how do you sort it out?
Without having this joint meeting, I think we'll be addressing this at every meeting we
Right,
have
that-
out coming.
yeah.
So, I'm more than willing to spearhead and be the conduit on this board to set it up with the dog officer, police department, joint meeting, limit it to the number of residents in Northridge, and just get it done.
Yeah, 'cause then, the point is, it's, if they continue to complain, it's gonna be up.
But they haven't, that's the point, they haven't complained.
Right, and
So
one
then we have
person
to-
complaining is not necessarily reflective of the group, I understand.
But if
If we
one
have this
person-
meeting and one person shows up and not several from Northridge, it's gonna go, give you an idea too.
But if one person is complaining, doesn't them being disturbed carry weight as well? No, I mean, if it's one person that's being kept up all night and they're closest, if that's what the case is,
I don't like it
isn't
when my
there, that
neighbor's
doesn't,
dog, I'm surrounded by dogs, I don't like it when they bark at times, but
well, at times,
But
I
not-
understand. No, I understand. I mean, I'm looking at this as something that is continuous. Even though they may not have complained as we went through the process, but
You know what I would suggest, if there's any board member that, has a doubt, go out there and camp out for a few hours, find out typically when the dogs are barking, and make your own judgment.
I do have a pop-up I could.
I mean,
Well, that's one thing. The
well,
only,
Sean, if you think you can pull them together and have a meeting in a neutral location, and that's gonna work fine, but we gotta do something, or we're gonna listen to this forever.
I will work on setting that up.
the only other thing I have, Mr. Chairman, is I just think it's incumbent upon us to acknowledge Senator Kennedy's service over 47 years to the Commonwealth, including the town of North Reading, and his passing is going to be noticed considerably. I think it's going to be a tremendous loss, and the measurement of that won't be known for a few years to come. But he served us well, and my condolences to his family and his staff that so ably have been working for him for a number of years. He's always been the go-to person that I've always had to go to and got the responses from, far better than any other national legislator in all my years of dealing with him. So, again, his passing is too bad. He's at peace, which is good, and I think it's the right thing to do is acknowledge his service. So, thank you.
yes, the email I think that we all received with regard to the accidents on, what street was that? The, Equestrian, in front of 9 Equestrian Road. I think the initial suggestion to put on the light first on that street, whether that is impacting the situation is a maybe, but at least it's a step in the right direction. And I think there were some police reports regarding accidents on that road. Well, there should be, if they had the accidents that he said, that they might be able to shed some light on that street.
Yeah, just based upon the email that we got from the resident there and the brief history, to me, it's somewhat of a no-brainer. I mean, the police department would take a look at it, the safety officer, but to me, it's,
Turn the
small,
light.
turn on the light.
Right.
Just turn it on.
That's all.
You know,
Yeah. And if there's a problem with the road, I would think that the police reports on the accidents would indicate it was either due to speed, or they couldn't see, or it's a
Could've been
tough
all of
curve.
those.